In this video, you will learn how to simplify equations. Now, up to this point, you have learned how to do different things, such as solving equations. You've learned how to combine like terms. You've learned how to distribute. Now, this video is kind of putting that all together. So what I'm going to do is walk you through a few different example problems where you need to use all these different things in one problem. So for example 1, we have 4x minus 2x plus 3 equals 15. So in this equation, I need to simplify first on this left side before I can solve. So here we see 4x minus 2x. Okay, we want to combine those first before we do anything else. 4x minus 2x gives me 2x. Alright, so I have 2x plus 3 equals 15. Now remember, when you solve, you're doing reverse order of operations. So you see here addition, and we see 2 times x, which is multiplication. So working in reverse, I get rid of the addition first, and I do that by subtracting. So that's the opposite of adding, so I subtract. Now I have 2x on the left and then 12 on the right. And then from here, we have 2 times x, and to get rid of the multiplication, I do the inverse, which is divide. So I divide both sides by 2. Now I have x on the left and then 6 on the right. So my solution is x equals 6. And if I want to, I can plug this back into the original equation to see if I have the correct answer or not. And if you do this, you will find that we do have the correct answer. Example 2. Now we have a little more difficulty. We have 4x plus 2 times parentheses 5 minus 6x equals 20. Now here I want to simplify this left side first before I solve. And to do that, I want to distribute this 2. So 2 times 5, that gives me 10, and 2 times negative 6x is negative 12x. So what I have is 4x plus 10 minus 12x equals 20. So from here, I can simplify further by combining like terms. We have 4x minus 12x. 4 minus 12 is negative 8. So I have negative 8x plus 10 equals 20. Alright, now from here I can solve. So I work in reverse order of operations. And here I see negative 8 being multiplied by x. So we have multiplication, and then the plus 10, that is addition. So I work in reverse, so I do addition first, and I get rid of the 10 first by subtracting. When I subtract, these will cancel. I have negative 8x on the left, and then 20 minus 10 is 10 on the right. Now this negative 8 is being multiplied by x. So to remove the negative 8, we need to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So I divide both sides by negative 8. When I do that, on the left side, I have x remaining. On the right side, I have 10 divided by negative 8, which you can reduce that by dividing top and bottom by 2. That gives me negative 5 over 4. And the negative, by the way, can go on the bottom, on the top, or on the side. It is all the same thing. So this is my simplified answer. If I wanted to, I could write this as a mixed number, where I take 5 divided by 4. That gives me 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, we get 1. So the remainder is 1. I could write that as a fraction, as 1 over 4. So if I wanted to, I could write that as a mixed number, and that would be negative 1 and 1/4. Example 3. This one is very similar to the last one. The only thing that is different that I'd like to point out is right here we have a negative 2 in front of the parentheses. So again, we want to simplify this left side. And to do that, again, we want to distribute this negative 2. But take note, we're distributing the negative and the 2. So it's not just take the positive 2 and distribute. We multiply negative 2 by both terms. So the 12 stays there, and now we have negative 2 times 3. That gives me negative 6. And then be careful with the negatives. We have negative 2 times a negative 5. It's going to give me a positive 10, and and then don't forget the x there as well. So positive 10x. Alright, so we've distributed, that's equal to 28. We can simplify a little bit further. Right here, 12 minus 6, those can combine to get 6. So I have 6 plus 10x equals 28. Now when I solve, I work in reverse order of operations. And some people, when they see this, are not sure about the 6 in the front. If it's helpful, you can think of this as being 10x plus 6. You change the order. It's not necessary, but it might be helpful to help you visualize what you're doing with the 6. Alright, because here we see pretty clearly that the 6 is being added. Alright, so 6 is being added. We have 10 being multiplied. So what I want to do is work in reverse. So I do addition first, and I bring that over by subtracting. So subtract 6 from both sides. That will cancel. I now have 10x equals 22. So now 10 times x is 22. To get rid of the multiplication, I do the inverse, which is division. So divide both sides by 10. I now have x equals 22 over 10, which can be divided by 2 on the top and bottom. That gives me 11 over 5. So this is my answer, but I could also write this as a mixed number, where I take 11 divided by 5, and I get 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract, we get 1. Write the remainder as a fraction. So we get 2 and then 1 over 5. So either way, 11/5 or 2 1/5 would be my answer. Now for example 4. We're adding a little more difficulty to this one because now we have a fraction in front of the parentheses, and then we have this minus x over here as well. But it's really the same thing. We want to simplify this left side first before I can solve. So I do that by distributing 1/2 times 8x and 1/2 times negative 12. So the 20 is in the front, and then 1/2 of 8. 1/2 times 8, that's the same thing as taking 8 divided by 2, which gives me 4. So that's 4x minus, and half of 12 is 6. So we have 4x minus 6, then minus x equals 32. So we have begun simplifying, but I want to take this further by combining like terms. We have 20 minus 6, which is 14. And then 4x minus 1x gives me a positive 3x. So I have 14 plus 3x equals 32. Now we've simplified the left side. From here we can solve by working in reverse order of operations. Alright, so remember in the last problem I said this 14 in the front, if I wanted to I could rearrange and write this as 3x plus 14. Well, there's no need to do that, but you can do it if you want. But you can just realize that the 14 is being added. Alright, so we have addition of the 14, and then the 3 is being multiplied. So if the 14 is being added, we'll take care of that first. We bring it over by subtracting 14. 14 minus 14 is 0. That will cancel out. I'm left with 3x on the left, and 32 minus 14 is 18 on the right. Now from here, this is 3 times x, so to get rid of the 3, do the opposite, which is divide. So divide both sides by 3. We now have x equals 18 over 3, which would be 6. So my solution is x equals 6. Okay, one more example. Here we have 5x minus 2x plus 4 minus 7 equals 15. So this one's a little bit different as well because there is not a number in front of the parentheses, but we have a minus sign. When you see this minus sign, just be careful because this minus goes to everything in parentheses. All right, that's what the parentheses means. It means that the minus or whatever's in front will be happening to everything. All right, so we have a minus 2x, and you're subtracting 4 as well. You can think of this as distributing if you would like. If there's not a number written in the front, you can think of that as being a 1. So if that's helpful, you can do negative 1 times 2x and negative 1 times 4 to get negative 2x and negative 4. Alright, so from here we can simplify further. 5x minus 2x is 3x. Negative 4 minus 7 is negative 11. That's equal to 15. Now from here we can solve. So when you solve, you work in reverse order of operations. We see subtraction of the 11, and we see 3 times x, which is multiplication. So working in reverse, we begin with minus 11. We move that to the right side by adding 11. We now have 3x equals 15 plus 11 is 26. And then from here, we can get rid of the 3 by doing the inverse of multiplying, which is dividing. So I have x equals 26 over 3, which that is simplified. So this could work as your answer. Or you can write that as a mixed number. You do 26 divided by 3. Gives you 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract, we get 2. You can write this remainder of 2 as a fraction. So 2 over 3. So I can write this as a mixed number as 8 2/3. So this lesson, we're combining the concepts of simplifying and distributing, and also solving equations. And that concludes our lesson for today. We will see you next time.